I'm Debbie Bussel, and I've had a long-standing relationship with the Women's Fund from its very beginnings. I've been a grantee or representing an organization that was a grantee of of Women's Fund right after Hurricane Andrew in 1992 in its earlier days. I've been a volunteer, done some site visits and grant review for Women's Fund. I have been a unofficial sort of sounding board advisor to many of the executive directors of Women's Fund with whom I've had personal relationships. And I have, of course, been a longstanding, dedicated supporter and donor to the Women's Fund. I very much believe in the Women's Fund. I think it's an essential, critical organization. When you think about what makes a healthy community, you need parks and common spaces, that arts and culture, and you need a Women's Fund. It's that essential. When I think of the Women's Fund, I think to my late father-in-law, who was a rabbi from 13 generations of rabbis, a very wise man. And quite literally, his last words were something along the lines of, when a person builds a house and adds love to it, it becomes a home. And if a town and a city infuses justice into it, it becomes a community. And the Women's Fund is what's a key, essential part of infusing justice into our community. It's about equal opportunity, equal access, equal rights, fairness, economic justice for women and girls. And we can't be the community we want to be without the Women's Fund. It's that simple. Over the years, I really feel like the Women's Fund has allowed me to be part of a community of like-minded folks who also are largely women who are also committed to these values. And in that way, I see the Women's Fund as really a guardian of these essential values, humanistic values of justice, of fairness, of women's rights, and the importance that everybody has a voice. And the Women's Fund protects and allows that to happen, both by the funding it does and the support of organizations and efforts that come up from the ground and really allow that to flourish and reach its potential to make real systemic change in our community on behalf of women and girls. And it does that by binding us all together, and that it's women, not just women, but primarily women helping other women, women understanding certain challenges that face our unique or special challenges for women and girls. And we're here for each other, and Women's Fund allows us to create that spirit among all of us. I'm eternally grateful to it. It's enriched my life, and more importantly, it's really enriched this community. My vision for the Women's Fund in the future is that it continues to grow and develop. It continues to garner the support that it deserves. Its role, critical role in the community, is more and more recognized by all segments of the community, from folks on the ground to decision makers, in very powerful political positions. And that the Women's Fund, as the voice of women and girls in our community, becomes ever more powerful and influential. And I'm as hopeful as I've ever been that this vision will be realized. There's great leadership at the Women's Fund right now under Maria Meyer, who has galvanized so many of us, to really mobilized us, to really understand the power that we have as a collective, and that how we can move the organization forward. But really, in moving the organization forward, we're moving all of us forward. So I see great things ahead.